we're gonna go into key mobility exercises that you can utilize to improve your throwing, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so throwers tend to be these big hulking individuals. We have these massive bench presses, these big squats, but a lot of these big lifts lead to problems with mobility. They lead to problems with joint integrity. We do a lot of throwing at very, very high speeds, and that tends to create a ton of inflammation that we might struggle to recover from. So we need to make sure that to push all of these weights in the weight room as high as we possibly can, we have to improve our overall mobility. And mobility is going to be passive flexibility with stability in that joint. If I have passive flexibility, that it gets me through a full range of motion, but I don't have stability, then I'm lacking mobility, okay? So I wanna improve stability in that deep passive range, and it's not gonna be passive anymore because we actually have mobility. Okay, so what are those areas of concern? If we think about throwing, shot putters, discus throwers, we bench press a lot, we squat a lot, we do a lot of rotational stuff. We might have some issues in our ankles, okay? So we might have some ankle problems. We might have some T-spine issues where we're more internally rotated, and when we do a snatch or a jerk overhead, we might miss things forward. We might have lower back issues. We might be suffering with some lower back mobility problems, anything along those lines. And then finally, we might even have some groin problems, right? If we're a glider or a spinner, we're gonna have some groin issues. And so once we understand what those areas of concern are, now we can figure out what can we do to improve our ankle mobility. If we have ankle issues, we lack that passive range, so we might not be able to dorsiflex as well. If we don't dorsiflex as well, we might have plantar flexion problems. And then what does that lead to? We struggle to keep our heel high in the middle of the circle as we rotate or as we're gliding forward. So what can we do? We can do PVC pipe walks, and we're gonna superset that with slant board holds. And so what slant board and PVC pipe walks can do is they're gonna teach and improve our proprioception through dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And then as we get into that slant board, we can lower the heel, work on dorsiflexion, then we can raise the heel and hold that at an isometric action for 20 to 30 seconds and then repeat that. So we're gonna use PVC pipe walks, let's say 3 sets of 15 meters, supersetting that with slant board passes into an isometric action. Now, one of those key concepts here that I want to bring up is that throwers don't like doing mobility, so we got to keep it easy, okay? That's why we're doing these PVC pipe walks. Get a PVC at Home Depot, 2 inches, use that, use a slant board, and you're gonna drastically improve that ankle mobility. Okay, so you have T-spine problems, all right? Let's think about, you struggle with catching that discus deep, you struggle with even holding that shot back behind that hip, that dominant hip, right? You keep it coming forward, so you have issues overhead, you struggle to do presses, you struggle to hold that thoracic extension. What can you do? You can do T-spine rotations. This is very easy. If you're here and you're opening up, okay, opening up back and forth. We could even do snatch presses standing. We can do T-spine rotation and press with light load, and that's gonna help us improve our overall T-spine rotation. And that's gonna help us then catch the discus deeper. It's gonna help us hold the shot back a little bit more. It's gonna improve our snatch catch or our jerk position. So utilize T-spine rotations every single day that you get to the gym. And you can utilize rotations with just your upper body in a crawl position. You can do it holding kettlebells or dumbbells in a light position. You wanna throw in some rotations. Snatch presses in the hole. Those are movements that are gonna drastically improve your T-spine integrity. Do those every single day, and you're gonna see that pay off big time in your throws. Now, these last 2 movements, before we go into them, if you need help with your mobility, you're a thrower and you need to improve that flexibility. You need to improve the joint integrity. Click on the link down below, go to throwsuniversity.com. You can pick up our mobility program to enhance your overall structural integrity. Now, lower back and groin. I don't know a single thrower who has never had lower back issues or groin problems. Every thrower has had it at some point. Okay, there's a ton of hip adduction and abduction. Okay, there's a ton of lower back stress. Some throwers might even have pars fractures from the deceleration on the finish. Okay, especially javelin throwers. So what can we do? I want to improve our lower back. I want to improve our groin. Do these 2 movements together. Pigeon pose. slow eccentric, okay? You can do it on an elevated box, you can do it on the floor. That's gonna drastically improve your mobility in your hip, which will also alleviate some stress in your lower back. So pigeon pose can alleviate a ton of lower back stress. It's going to be one of the best movements that you can do for your entire hip girdle and your lower back. Pigeon pose, 5-6 sets, 3 or 4 passes to each side, slow eccentric, working through that position and feeling it. Do this before you go out to throw. Do it after you're done training. Do it when you're meditating. Do it when you're hanging out watching TV or watching YouTube videos, watching Throws University YouTube videos. And then you can hit up that hip 90-90. Okay, now we do hip 90-90 back and forth, going through all those passes, okay? And you wanna actually feel your groin pushing your knee down into the floor and then opening back up, and feel every single muscle that is around your entire hip and how it's working. Make sure you feel that groin being active, but do these 2 movements 3, 4, 5 days a week. Try and see how they feel and see if you can have that carry over into the circle, because that's the main goal here. Is we're doing mobility for throws. If we can improve our mobility, we're gonna be better throwers. We're gonna throw longer, and that's gonna help us hit those big time PRs. And if you want more content to improve mobility, click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.